Did you know that the nickname of Faustino Asprilla during his playing days was the Octopus? Additionally, did you know that former Premier League player Faustino Asprilla revealed how a hitman for drug lord Pablo Escobar made a threat to kill a rival goalie? The Colombian football star is not just one character, but rather a blend of many characters in a single body. Whether it is on the field or off the pitch, Faustino Asprilla has never missed making headlines. This is exactly why, if you ask 6 different people about Tino, they will all have 6 different but equally crazy stories about the Colombian football star. The guy had a deadly eye for goal, which made him an attraction for the top clubs in European football leagues after he ended an impressive run with Atletico Nacional. But it was his outrageous stories that kept him in the headlines throughout his playing career. In 1992, Asprilla joined Parma and would be a star in the club's golden era under Scala. The man scored twice in the first leg of the UEFA Winners' Cup semifinal to help his team reach its first ever European final. But would you believe that Asprilla did not play in the final of the tournament? The reason is one of the craziest you will ever hear. During a trip home to Colombia, Asprilla kicked a bus in anger and injured himself. Crazy, right? But even crazier is the explanation he gave to the press. A bus driver smashed into my car when I got out to get onto the bus. He shut the door on me. So when I kicked in, my foot went through the glass, but got cut as it came out. And that's why I missed the final. Thankfully, his club won the UEFA Cup without him by defeating Royal Antwerp 3-1. 2 years later, Asprilla again helped Parma win the UEFA Cup semi-final, this time against Leverkusen. He didn't miss the final this time and lifted the trophy after his club won against Juventus. He was a bachelor then, which meant frequent parties. The Colombian striker even invited his Italian friends to his parties, which were filled with his many dancing female friends. While he was known for his lavish parties in Italy, the reason that got him limelight in his home country was completely different. On one of his trips to Colombia, his bodyguards shot a few rounds in the air after taking a mall security guard's gun. In 1995, Asprilla thought it was a good idea to shoot a gun without a permit and shoot twice. But their little adventure didn't end well, as he was sentenced to a year in prison. He was kept out of jail by his confession of the act. But this is just the start of Asprilla's craziest stories. The Colombian joined Newcastle in 1996, and he was again in the headlines. Newcastle was playing against Middlesbrough when the striker made his debut. Not expecting to play that night, the Octopus drank wine on the team bus before the game. Yes, you heard it right, wine before a professional football match. But his team wasn't doing well, so he was substituted mid-game. A normal player might have shown signs of drinking, but not Asprilla. He played his normal game and helped Newcastle win 2-1. However, Asprilla is often blamed for his club's downfall after the Magpies blew up a 12-point lead in favor of a resurgent Manchester United. While many see it as an unfair criticism, some of his Newcastle stories go against his case. One example was his remarks about the women of the Northeast. The women were divine. I had, well, I don't know how many girlfriends I had in Newcastle. At the beginning, I didn't even understand what they said. Only Asprilla could say that. The Colombian striker never really liked playing by the rules in football. So much so that he famously told a former manager at Parma's that he was not Forrest Gump and therefore could not run in training. He was so different from others in terms of how he behaved both on and off the pitch that his colleagues deemed him mentally ill. He eventually returned to Parma, but an apparent agreement with the fourth-tier Darlington in 2002 meant that the Colombian football star would move back to England. He was even paraded on the pitch, but did not sign the contract. The club said that it was gutted after finding out that Asprilla wasn't coming to Darlington. But Tino didn't use such sugar-coated words. On the phone, he, the Darlington chairman, gave me one contract, and in person, he gave me another. Everything changed. Money, where I was going to live, lots of things. So we never agreed on a contract. Although the famous striker retired from football a couple of years later, that didn't stop him from making headlines for peculiar reasons. In 2008, he was placed under house arrest for reportedly firing 29 bullets at a security checkpoint in Colombia. Thankfully, no one was hurt. Otherwise, things could have been worse for Tino. If you thought this was a crazy Asprilla story, then hold on for this next one. Not many people know this, but the octopus was offered a role in adult films of Colombia, thanks to his nude photo shoot for magazines. While he turned down offers to be an adult film star, Asprilla did use his sex symbol status to launch a brand of flavored condoms in 2014. He also talked about the thought process behind starting flavored condoms. Talking to a radio station, Asprilla said, "When I was growing up, we had a guava tree in our garden, and that's a flavor and aroma that's very good for romance." The crazy stories continue. Asprilla loves animals and owns some of the most expensive ones. There is a crazy Asprilla story related to animals that he once lent a 40,000-pound horse to a friend who lost it by drunkenly giving it away. But the horse turned up in Florida after 4 months, thankfully. In another animal-related Asprilla story, the Colombian striker filmed himself while he was dressed as a T-Rex and riding a horse. But the craziest of Asprilla's stories is yet to come. So, get ready. In 2019, Tino revealed that he had to convince a hitman to not kill Paraguayan José Luis Chilavert, the Paraguayan goalkeeper. According to the details given by Asprilla, after Chilavert was sent off in a qualifier, which was eventually won by Paraguay 2-1, a hitman called Asprilla on his hotel room's phone. The gunman asked for Asprilla's permission to eliminate Chilavert, but the Colombian striker refused. "What? Are you crazy?" Asprilla said in response to the hitman's request. "You'll destroy Colombian football. You can't do that. No, 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 no. What happens on the pitch stays on the pitch." All of these stories have been quite interesting, right? But if, for some reason, Asprilla's stories haven't already blown your mind, then let's go back to the start of Tino's career for one last story. Now, you might not know this, but Asprilla was a huge motorbike fan. He would drive around the city like crazy, without even wearing a helmet. At the time, Pablo Escobar was the de facto owner of the club. Both he and the coach were worried that Asprilla would hurt himself during his bike rides. So Pablo Escobar ordered his men to steal Tino's bike. Upon hearing the news, Asprilla drove the bike to his brother and gave it to him. Believe it or not, but it is also said that the reason Pablo accepted Asprilla's transfer to Parma was because he really liked him. He knew that Tino wouldn't survive for long in Medellin because of his lifestyle. Some of the many things in his lifestyle that led to this thought included reckless bike rides, going to clubs without guards, and living a free life despite being a football star. Sounds a bit dangerous. The Colombian striker has lived a life full of entertainment and scandals. From riding a horse as a T-Rex to preventing the killing of his colleague from a hitman, the man's stories don't seem to end. Each one of these stories is crazier than the other and makes you ask yourself one question: what did Asprilla eat to be able to stay under the spotlight for many years? One might never know the answer to that question, but one thing that is sure is that the Colombian striker is far from ending his career as a controversial figure. So, these were some of the craziest stories of Faustino Asprilla. Do let us know which one of these surprised you the most. Hit the subscribe button and click the bell icon if you liked the crazy stories of Faustino Asprilla.